Hello again. Thank you very much for joining me here on Movie Ninja. So, Hustle, starring Adam Sandler and Juancho Hernangomez. Truth be told, I almost don't want to talk about this movie. Wait for it. Because I don't want to run the risk of ruining anything for first-time viewers. This is a sports film that, if you read the byline, like in Netflix, it talks about a down and out, as if you can have such a thing, like a down and out NBA scout who finds a diamond in the rough in Madrid, and then he tries to make him a player in the NBA. There we go. It's very simple as a summary, But this is so engaging just because of the down-to-earth humanity of the story. This isn't something about pulling up someone by their bootstraps and then making them a famous, wealthy celebrity. And, okay, truth be told, not all sports films are like that, but a lot of them are geared towards, the same goal, A lot of them play out by the numbers fairly regularly, a majority of the time. So, in terms of a sports film, it's decent. Okay? I think what differentiates Hustle from other sports films is really just the humility of the entire cast. So, Adam Sandler plays Stanley Sugarman, and he has been a scout for the 76ers for a while now. A majority of his career has been as a talent scout for the NBA. He does not want this kind of existence, but unfortunately, he is in a position in his life as a middle-aged man where he's like, okay, you know what? My lot in life, my path didn't turn out the way I wanted. So I'm in a rut, globe hopping for the NBA, And he's so worn out. He's very much a warhorse who has been through this, mostly from the impression that you get from his character, Stanley, because he doesn't have any other choice. So even if he stays in 5-star hotels and he travels first class all over the world to numerous exotic locations, this isn't the life that he wants. He wants to be a family man. He wants to be closer to home. He wants to mold young up-and-coming talent. That's what he wants. So when he meets Bo Cruz, Hernangomez, he sees something that no one else sees. And I think where a lot of sports films would take this is but this is my chance to make a name for myself, for me, for Stanley Sugarman. It does not. Okay? And once again, I hesitate to give any details about this, but it doesn't go in that immediate path. Not the paint by numbers that most sports films go. So, as I mentioned, the performances are just incredibly humble. Stanley doesn't have a lot of swagger. Bo Cruz, the young basketball player that he finds in Madrid, his performance is there's a hidden gem that I enjoy where there's a quote as someone proclaiming the act of acting is like acting as if you're not acting. How profound. I'm not actually going to say the name of that particular movie. I want to see like who actually like knows what that's from. Anywho, like if you do, mention it in the comments. But it is, and I don't know his story. I do know that like, just from some cursory information like on the internet, he was and is. He is currently a professional basketball player. He has now gotten into the field of acting, and in this particular role, it is extremely naturalistic for him, because he is just playing someone who has this opportunity and embraces it. Let's talk about the title, Hustle. It's said that success is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. And that's what it is. This, as another way of sort of like referring to the typical narrative point of view versus, like what this film is, most sports films focus on, like the up and comer. Like, how do we get this character to become a champion in whatever it is? How do we get Rocky Balboa to prove that he's a contender? How do we get Hilary Swank, to prove more or less like the same, And there's this journey that we have to go on to see like, okay, like what happens when dedication meets talent? How do we sharpen this person to become something greater than what they are currently? And that's the drama, that's the romance behind many sports films, and the best ones really make you feel invested, not only in the journey, not only for the success, of our characters, but also, they connect with you because of their flaws. Because if things don't work out, like what do they have to fall back on? And the answer for most is very little, For most. Now, Hustle is specifically said, like, this is as much a story about Bo Cruz, making his way to the NBA, but debatably, it's more about Stanley. And in a very non-selfish way. Like, as I say that, some of you may be thinking, oh, this is an Adam Sandler, Happy Madison production, so of course it's mostly about him. No. Not that he's hogging the spotlight. It's mostly because of who he is as a character, as a coach. Now, anyone who's ever participated in coached activities, like, or any type of like sports, things like that, like there's this grand field of what a coach can be. A coach can be a cruel, sadistic taskmaster. These are the worst. And unfortunately, there's a decent number of them out there, unfortunately. But on the other side, a coach can be a mentor, a guardian, someone who genuinely cares about their players, their team, and wants to see them succeed, wants to really foster that personal growth that you can achieve, like with athletics. And that's where Stanley is. Stanley wants to take this, as I mentioned, he wants to take this diamond in the rough, and he wants to help him achieve his potential. And he puts a lot at risk for that. Once again, to back off. The production-wise, Happy Madison. When I saw Happy Madison on this, I'm not gonna lie, y'all, I was scared. Adam Sandler is a successful entertainer because he knows, what hands to play when it comes to this industry. He had been successful because of a very specific type of mostly blue comedy that has carried him from his early days on Saturday Night Live to like pretty much like to Hubie Halloween. There's a few Happy Madison like films that I still like, I'm not gonna pretend. I still watch from time to time just because I like them. But when I see that logo like nowadays, it makes me worried, because not every not just the films that Adam Sandler like stars in when it comes to Happy Madison Productions, but Happy Madison it's you look at their library and it's not that much better than like National Lampoon's, in all honesty. So why do I bring that up? Because this as not even just as a Happy Madison production, but just as a film in general, it feels like it's better than it has any right to be. It really does. This is I've seen this now twice. Today. I don't know if I've ever put it out there. I'm a nerd. Okay? So, like, the sports games, not that big of an interest for me. Not really. But I love good cinema. There we go. And, like transcending all genre. If the movie is good, hey, then it'll get my attention, The comedy in this is so organic. It doesn't feel like when I saw okay, it's Adam Sandler. I saw that Queen Latifah was also in this production. She plays his wife, and I didn't quite know what to think, because when you see a lot of their movies, both of them are established actors, but every now and then, you can really tell that they are very secure in their careers now versus where they were in the 90s. They don't overreach for laughs. They don't go out of their way to be over the top wacky. I really wish Melissa McCarthy would just take some notes, in all honesty, just a lot of the humor, it almost feels like a very well written like a 2-hour episode pilot for a series that I would be interested in watching, because the writing, it's tight and it's witty. And that just reminds me of the old sitcoms, the pre How I Stalked Your Mother sort of writing, Anywho, I don't like a lot of modern sitcoms nowadays. Anywho, the humor is intelligent, and I like that, And for those of you who have known me, followed some of my movie talk podcasts as well, I was raised on slapstick, so there is a place for slapstick in my life. But just the kind of slapstick mixed with lewd or just generally blue comedy, it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. But none of that is in this film. So what have I said so far? Okay, so it's a great story. You got great performances. And even as it's a little bit of a genre mix, because there is comedy. There is pronounced, consistent comedy in the film, and I find it funny. So if this prototypical average nerd who talks about mostly, fantasy, sci-fi, and action films, if this can get my attention, get me out of my wheelhouse, and then earn a very well-deserved praise review, yeah, y'all, I think it deserves your attention. Okay? This, I know it has a very limited theatrical release, just with everything that is still going on, but I'm really glad that it's on Netflix. Netflix, hey, no lie, y'all made a lot of mistakes recently, and you continue to make mistakes. So I'm not going to pretend this is me propping you up and just oh, Netflix can do no wrong. That is not the case at all. But as a streaming platform, this feels like this movie on the platform is much better situated for long-term success, I think. Because it comes off to me as like a very strong independent film. Like, this is a film that if they had distribution rights to theaters, the theaters would say, okay, we mostly made our money off of that movie in this first week, and they hold it for like 2 weeks, and then they just like dump it. And that's it. And if you didn't see it in that very small window of time, then you'd be, like, it's your loss. So I do appreciate that Netflix is still, allowing these types of projects, a platform, a place to shine, really. So yeah, that a little unconventional, but that's the end of my review. I also have to comb my hair. Tonight I'm Shaggy Ninja, instead of just Movie Ninja. Anywho, but okay. So moving in, what grade do you give Hustle? This movie that really puts forward, it's like, okay, it's not just that you have a dream. It's not just that you have a dream, you have to work for it. You do. So what grade, Movie Ninja, do you give this? I give this a 9 out of 10. I'm like 100% serious. The only reason why I remove like a point, and I'm like, man, like, this is like a Paul Hollywood handshake year for me. I feel like I'm giving this out like too much, like these too strong of like grades with these reviews. But the only reason why it kind of loses a point is that there are times where I felt like, okay, I know it's around the corner, and I was right. That being said, I've seen a lot of movies in my time. So, okay, but it is it's so enthralling. It's so uplifting. And it doesn't give you a story where absolutely everybody's perfect, but just with, gumption or ganas. Like, oh, if you believe in yourself, you need to apply some effort to what you want in anything, And that is one of the good lines of this film, is that obsession will beat talent every time. So in other words, dedication. He says obsession. He means dedication. But that's what it's called, subtext, folks. Anyways, I'm looking at the timestamp. But anyway, it's a 9 out of 10. It's a 9 out of 10. Only for just a little bit of predictability. Because other than that, this would take, as part of the lineup of, y'all, man, I feel like I'm just like handing out these high grades. Or maybe this is just 2021 and 2022 are just a really good years for movies. Hey, who knows, right? Anywho, I highly, highly suggest you watch Hustle, Please, if you have seen Hustle, what do you think of it? Am I being too generous? Am I somehow, I don't know not how, am I somehow not being generous enough? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for joining me here on Movie Ninja, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.